lot of actors never even attempt to do their own stunts, but we can't say that about Tom Cruise. The actor is known for putting his skills to the test and taking on incredibly challenging stunts, like the iconic helicopter chase scene from Mission Impossible Fallout. But Tom Cruise is on a mission to top even that. In fact, he has 3 crazy stunts planned for Mission Impossible 7 that are supposed to be way bigger than anything we've seen so far. We've got all the details on stunt crazy Cruise and the action he's busy making possible for the new film. What's super impressive about this series is that it began all the way back in 1996. But Tom Cruise is still the film's leading man 24 years later. His passion truly knows no bounds. The series has grossed over $3.5 billion worldwide, making it one of the most popular franchises out there. Some of the series' biggest draws are the epic betrayals, unbelievable unmasking sequences, and of course the impossible stunts that Tom Cruise proudly performs himself. In fact, Cruise prefers as little CGI as possible, even going on location as much as needed to film his dangerous stunts in the right setting. And if a scene involves a plane in the air, you can bet that plane was actually in the air when Tom Cruise filmed the scene. I'm sure the stunts in Mission Impossible 7 will be peak moments of action for the star. After all, just look at Tom Cruise's upcoming film, Top Gun: Maverick, where Cruise has unsurprisingly decided to film big action scenes in real jets. No green screens, no CGI, real jets with real actors. While Tom isn't the one piloting the jet, I'm pretty sure that doing a scene while exposing yourself to about 8 Gs of force isn't something most actors will do on their own. If he's willing to put himself through that, who knows what crazy stunts Tom might do in Mission Impossible 7? Like skydive from the International Space Station into Elon Musk's space car? Confirmation that the next Mission Impossible films will feature even crazier stunts is both worrying and incredibly exciting. The series has been picked up for at least 2 more entries that are rumored to wrap up Ethan Hunt's storyline. Director Christopher McQuarrie, who is responsible for both Rogue Nation and Fallout, told the Empire podcast that we figured out 3 obscene things that he's doing that I'm terrified of, that make the helicopter chase look like Tinker Toys. In fact, McQuarrie is pretty freaked out by the task he has ahead of him. He continued on to say that the next 2 films swallow the last 3 movies whole. These are some pretty big promises, and a lot of responsibility for the director, who's admitted that watching Tom Cruise do the insane stunts he comes up with is a chilling experience. While nothing incredibly bad has happened yet, McQuarrie is aware that we're testing the limits of stunt work with some of their incredible feats. So, what could these stunts be? Well, we can rule out the rumor that Ethan Hunt was going to be spacebound, but there are still a lot of ways the franchise could outdo itself with incredible action sequences. We're only speculating, but we think that aircrafts could still be a big thing in the next 2 films. If only because stunts involving them are both epic and incredibly challenging. Cruise hung off a moving plane in Rogue Nation and had fun with skydiving and helicopter crashing in Fallout. But epic plane stunts never really get old. We're thinking that the combination of an aircraft and motor vehicle stunt might be pretty cool, with Cruise jumping either a car or his signature motorbike onto a plane as it takes off. Or maybe it could be something similar to that Fast and Furious 7 scene where real cars were dropped from real planes. We could definitely see Tom Cruise driving his motorcycle out the back of a moving airplane. But we're sure Christopher McQuarrie has his own unique ideas for plane and car combo stunts. A closer look at Top Gun: Maverick offers us a pretty solid hint about the stunts Tom Cruise will try out in the new Mission Impossible. He could take a page from Top Gun and pilot a jet, since he's already been practicing. The film has designed special camera equipment to make sure that those shots in the cockpit are as immersive as possible. So I wouldn't put it past Cruise to implement this technology in Mission Impossible 7 or 8. We could definitely see Tom Cruise doing epic spins, twists, and loop-de-loops in pursuit of a bad guy, and I'm sure he won't let the G-forces stop him. Since Mission Impossible has explored landmarks as prime locations for stunt work, we shouldn't be shocked to see a few more monuments serve as gigantic monkey bars for Tom Cruise. But what about the Great Pyramids, or the Sydney Opera House? Ethan Hunt is definitely a worldly man, so expect to see a lot of extreme traveling done in the next 2 films. While tricky weather conditions have been the focus of a few of Mission Impossible's stunts, we'd love to see a natural disaster shake things up for the IMF. Ethan Hunt has climbed many mountains in windy and icy conditions. But how about if he were to chase down a bad guy during a hurricane, or even an earthquake? Combining the natural environment with a super cool stunt would definitely be challenging to get right, which makes it that much more believable that Cruise and McQuarrie would want to give it a try. From tsunamis to gigantic fires, we wouldn't be shocked to see Tom Cruise willing to run through simulated weather conditions to make his stunts even harder to perform. So maybe Hunt will be using his signature motorcycle skills to chase a villain through a tropical storm, or drive a car through a 5-alarm fire. We'll be anxiously waiting to find out. Even though Ethan Hunt won't be going to space anytime soon, we can't rule out the involvement of space equipment. Perhaps Tom Cruise will participate in a stunt involving a rocket. Or maybe NASA will make an appearance in a Mission Impossible film. We'd love to see Hunt trying to maneuver his way through the technology-filled headquarters. Maybe it's a bit far-fetched, but we think McQuarrie could get his hands on some cool space stuff for Cruise to play around with. And maybe a journey into space will be possible if Cruise signs on for a Mission Impossible 9 and 10. We can certainly dream. Let's talk about all the other crazy stunts he's already done in the Mission Impossible movies. The entry to the Mission Impossible franchise is home to one of the series' most iconic stunts, which involves Tom Cruise rappelling from the ceiling of the CIA headquarters on a wire. Cruise also spends a portion of the film holding tight to the top of a speeding train. But the biggest moments of action come when Hunt tethers a helicopter to a car, pulling the chopper into a long, dark tunnel. Thankfully, a green screen was used to make the sequence look like it was set in a tunnel, but the actors really were getting whipped around by helicopter force winds. The follow-up, Mission Impossible 2, gives Tom Cruise a chance to show off his stunt skills with some pretty crazy rock climbing. The film also has an epic motorcycle chase, allowing Tom Cruise to show off his affinity for not wearing a helmet. But the most dangerous stunt involved a knife and an eye. Actor Dougray Scott had to stab a knife within a quarter of an inch from Tom Cruise's eye, because Cruise insisted that he wanted the stunt to look as realistic as possible. The crew measured out a cable to ensure the knife would stop before reaching his eye and spent a lot of time choreographing the scene. But that's still a real knife and a real eye, and knives and eyes should never be so close. The image on the knife hovering above Ethan Hunt's eye is a lot more terrifying knowing the circumstances. In Mission Impossible 3, Tom Cruise got to jump between skyscrapers in Shanghai. Well, not really. The scene was shot with a green screen, but Tom Cruise, as usual, did all the crazy jumping by himself. Then there's Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, which features Tom Cruise scaling the tallest building in the world. The structure is the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, and Cruise was 17,000 feet up in the air attached to a harness for this one. But Ethan Hunt scales the tower with adhesive gloves that suddenly stop working. And he's forced to smash through the building's glass and run along the outside while anchored to a fire hose. Tom Cruise got knocked around quite a bit for this stunt, and we're sure the height didn't help calm his nerves. In the fifth film, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, the most insane stunt is an underwater scene that Tom Cruise practiced for months. He had to learn to hold his breath for 6.5 minutes, but even the practice didn't stop him from getting nitrogen in his blood and being in intense physical pain after the stunt, and he still performed it multiple times. Now that's dedication. And it's not even the scariest stunt Cruise performed in the film. He had to hang off of a plane as it took off at full speed. At the time, Cruise described this stunt as undoubtedly the most dangerous thing I've ever done. Though after filming Fallout, he's probably changed his mind. The film garnered a lot of attention for its increasingly difficult action stunts. The most well-known is the helicopter chase scene, in which Ethan Hunt is forced to airily pursue villain August Walker, played by Henry Cavill. Tom Cruise piloted the helicopter himself for the scene, but he needed a lot of practice to get it just right. He honed his skills over the period of a month, practicing for 16 hours a day on average. Tom Cruise and director Christopher McQuarrie wanted to create the most immersive experience possible, so they used special camera mounts to show that Cruise was really flying the helicopter alone. But this wasn't even the most challenging part of the scene. One particular moment has Cruise climbing up a rope to try to get into the moving aircraft. In reality, he was hooked up to a pulley system, but he really was climbing into a moving helicopter. Then there was the helicopter crash, an inevitable end to these death-defying stunts. The crash involved special rigs that allowed the helicopters to slide and roll down the slope without the actors getting tossed around too much. Tom Cruise also skydived 106 times for the film to get that 25,000 feet plane dive just right.
You're talking about Tom jumping out of a plane that's traveling at 165 miles an hour.
The reality is that the stunts don't always go so well. In fact, one of the fallout stunts resulted in Tom Cruise breaking his ankle. He was chasing Henry Cavill's character and landed wrong against a wall. Cruise told Graham Norton, "I knew instantly my ankle was broken, and I really didn't want to do it again, so just got up and carried on with the take."
To complete the shot, like with your foot hanging off. So him.
After the scene wrapped, Cruise had to call cut on filming for a while and sent the other actors and crew on vacation while he rested up. But the take of him breaking his ankle can be seen in the film, so no one can doubt Cruise's dedication to his craft. And while Tom Cruise may be approaching 60 years old, he's definitely not slowing down anytime soon. He hasn't expressed a single desire to give up his participation in stunt work. Mission Impossible 7 finally opens in theaters on July 23, 2021. The two movies are being filmed back-to-back, so we can expect Mission Impossible 8 to be released just a year later in August of 2022. And then we're hoping for some confirmation on Tom Cruise continuing the Mission Impossible films well into his 60s. So while the plot is still under wraps, we're lucky to have a list of confirmed cast members to get our blood pumping. Of course, Tom Cruise is coming back as Ethan Hunt, but Rebecca Ferguson will also be returning as MI6 ally Ilsa Faust. Haley Atwell, known as MCU's Peggy Carter, will be the female lead in both films. Guardian of the Galaxy's Pom Clementif will join the franchise as a new femme fatale, and Shea Whigham has also been confirmed in an unconfirmed role. Then we've got X-Men's Nicholas Hoult, who is rumored to be the franchise's next villain. If Holt's role is even half as crazy as his eccentric character in Mad Max Fury Road, we'll be impressed. We're speculating that he might have been one of Ethan Hunt's pupils who somehow turned to a life of crime. Some other characters will be making a return to the franchise. Christopher McQuarrie recently confirmed the return of Henry Czerny, who is expected to reprise the role of IMF director Eugene Kittredge in both films. Plus, franchise regular Simon Pegg has been confirmed, and both Jeremy Renner and Ving Rhames are rumored to be returning. And what about characters coming back from the grave? It's not out of the question for Mission Impossible, with both Henry Cavill and Alec Baldwin rumored to be making a return after they were seemingly eliminated in Mission Impossible Fallout. We're sure there are going to be some epic twists involving characters that are supposedly long gone. If you could choose any of the series' villains to make a return, who would you pick? What's most original about the Mission Impossible franchise is that the locations and set pieces are figured out before they have a clear story in mind. The director told Empire that, "I pitched the idea of making 2 movies, and now I have to justify why it's 2 movies." While the story always comes together at the end, the idea of Mission Impossible is reliant on incredible, unique stunt work. This is likely the reason that not a whole lot has been confirmed about the plot. It can take up to a year and a half of filming and organizing to get all the sequences right. So the whole process is kind of complicated. But we can rest assured that betrayal will play a central theme, and that the world will be put in danger somehow. Though the rest of the plot could be anything and take Ethan Hunt anywhere. Reports suggest that the 2 films will be the end for Ethan Hunt, so we could either expect him to go out in an appropriate Ethan Hunt way or finally get his happily ever after. But perhaps the series will be picked up for more entries, since Cruise doesn't seem to want to take a break anytime soon. Speculation aside, what we know about the stunts is that Tom Cruise will be getting some mad respect from co-stars for his willingness and excitement to perform them. Cruise's fellow actors like Henry Cavill cannot stop raving about how hard Cruise works to achieve these stunts. Cavill's character literally got hit in the face with a helicopter in Fallout, so he's a pretty good judge of how chaotic some of these action sequences can get. And it's not just the actors that look up to Cruise. The film's stunt performers, who aren't used to actors trying half the things they do, think of Tom Cruise as one of their own. After all, he's the face and the action backbone of the entire franchise. They quite literally couldn't do it without him. For now, we might have to stick with speculation to satisfy our needs for new stunt details. But one thing's for sure, if these new stunts are even half as epic as Christopher McQuarrie is promising, the logical next step for Tom Cruise might just be becoming an actual super spy.
Are you okay to drive? A minute ago you were dead. What are you talking about?
So, what stunts are you hoping to see in Mission Impossible 7 and 8? Let us know in the comments and let your imaginations run wild. Personally, we're hoping for some cave diving action and a surprise unmasking by Mr. Cavill. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to CBR for more great content.